5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm like, clear mind, clear mind.
Right now on the National Weather Desk, epic snowstorm. We have team coverage from Buffalo, New York, where they will be measuring the snow in feet.
They don't want you out here. It, quite frankly, is dangerous.
We'll also look back on a similar storm in 2014 and the impact it left behind.
We had people started when ran out of gas and supplies.
The changes taking place in Lake Tahoe that could be bad for humans and animals.
That may change in the future is really concerning.
Exercising outdoors? We have tips on how to dress for the weather.
Base layer, you want something that's not common, something that'll whip the moisture away.
And frost flowers, you can't grow them, but they are very cool.
Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. We start in Buffalo, New York, where a historic lake effect snowstorm is underway. The storm could leave the area with 2 to 4 feet, even up to 5 feet in some areas. You've got snow, wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour. A state of emergency has been declared for Erie County, which includes Buffalo, and a countywide driving ban is also in effect as of last night. So let's talk about the latest now, what you can expect. We'll go to the forecast here with this whole Lake Erie, and then you got Lake Ontario up here. So Lake Erie, some 240 miles it stretches, and notice the winds. They're southwest to northeast, and that is the perfect scenario. That is the perfect scenario to get lake effect snow just non-stop. They've got a wall of white coming into areas around Buffalo and Erie. That temperature contrast. The air temperature now in the lower 30s with the water temperature at 50 degrees. So this is, again, nonstop the whole stretch of Lake Erie. It's going to continue to snow throughout the day today. You're looking at the temperatures right now in the lower 30s. Again, the water temperature currently running at about 50 degrees. This is a look at how much could be on the ground by late Sunday. And this really is conservative. Buffalo, well over 1 foot of snowfall further south south of Buffalo in that area. That's 3, maybe even 4 feet of snow. Now, here's the latest at this hour. A state of emergency remains up and will last throughout the storm. A travel ban is up until further notice for most of the area. A travel advisory is in effect for some of the northernmost counties. The New York State Thruway has now opened to traffic from Rochester to the Pennsylvania line. Most of those flights in and out of Buffalo Niagara Airport are canceled, though. So now we're going to head to Chase Howell, who's in Amherst, with what's happening there.
Good morning. I'm here in Amherst, New York, just north of Buffalo. I got in around, I would say, 8:45 last night, and snow just started to come up and just started to accumulate. Where we are right now is a travel advisory, but south of here, there's a travel ban like Buffalo. I was just driving a little bit ago to go get some coffee, and the roads here are really just fine. There's really not much snow on the ground, but I saw a lot of people getting gas. Again, some of the hardest hit areas that we'll see south of here, up to 3 to 4 inches per hour. Not the whole day, not the whole night, per hour. But again, up here, the northern cities like where I'm at in Amherst should be fine for most of the day. But as you can see, people are driving just fine behind me. They're going over this overpass. The roads weren't too bad. On the way here, we saw multiple snow plows on the side of the road, just waiting for this snowstorm to come in. But as more information comes in, we'll obviously keep you updated. Live in Amherst, I'm Chase Howell.
And let's go now to Kevin Jolly, who's also in Amherst with more.
You can see behind me, the roads are passable here. There's a travel advisory in effect, but there is no travel ban. There was an expectation that there would be several feet of snow on the grass and also on the roads here, but that's not the case here in Amherst. Now, of course, we're north of the city, so we didn't bear the brunt of this massive storm here. Most of the accumulation and the higher accumulations are south of the city in Orchard Park and Hamburg and those areas here, and the higher elevations as well, Ellicottville. But for us here, just a little bit north of the city, the roads, quite frankly, are icy, they're slippery, but they are passable. Now, of course, the governor, the Erie County executive, even Mayor Byron Brown in the city of Buffalo, they're telling folks, if you don't have to be on the roads, please don't get behind the wheel. Now, in anticipation of this, the entire Erie County schools are all closed. Buffalo Public Schools are closed. Government offices are closed. They want to make sure that there are few cars on the road as possible so that the snow plows and the work crews can be out here on the roads, salting the roads, plowing the snow, and keeping these roads clear, staying ahead of the heavy accumulations that were expected to hit the area. But right now here in Amherst, just a little bit north of the city, things are looking pretty good. But of course, we know things could change any minute now. But for now, things aren't as bad as they said they would be, at least in this part of town. But of course, more snow is expected now throughout the weekend. Back to you.
That's right. Several feet is in the forecast. This storm system awfully similar to a storm that struck south of Buffalo in November of 2014. It really crippled the region. Kelly Holland was a news director in Buffalo at the time, and she told our Emily Gracie how she handled that storm and the safety of the crews.
So I got to the newsroom and the phones are going off the hook, and it's all of my crews that lived south of the city saying, I can't get out. And there were feet of snow that had been dumped on them overnight, and the snow just kept falling.
How did you balance finding really good news content and covering the storm with also the safety of your crews and yourself?
Half of my newsroom staff was snowed in. You couldn't drive into it. I told one of my crews, stop on the outskirts. This is what we're looking at. Do not go in. And they probably went about a half mile in, and one of our live trucks sat there for 3 days until the snow stopped and they could get back to it. But they walked about a mile and a half back to where we could drive, to get them. I've covered a lot of different big news stories. This is one that just always resonates with me because of everything that went into covering it, keeping my crew safe, and then realizing what people in this region were going through. We've had different storms, but nothing like the November 2014 snowstorm.
Wow. Late yesterday, the NFL announced Sunday's Buffalo Bills game against the Cleveland Browns will not be played at Highmark Stadium. Instead, that game is going to be played in Detroit. Now, this isn't the first time that the NFL moved a Bills game because of snow. Back in 2014, 4 feet of snow fell in and around Orchard Park. The game against the Jets was moved to Detroit and played on Monday night. That also was the last time the NFL moved a game for snow. Well, have you ever wondered why other parts of the country, the Mid-Atlantic, for example, don't get lake effect snow? Let's go to Baltimore meteorologist Jonathan Myers, who says, well, the name might give it away.
The mechanism behind it is something called Great Lakes lake effect snow. And the reason we don't usually have any of that kind of thing around here is because we don't have a lake, hence the name lake effect snow. Buffalo, on the other hand, just off to its west and southwest, it's got Lake Erie. It's a big source of warmth and moisture. And what happens is during the winter, you get cold air that comes up and over those lakes as we get Arctic and Canadian outbreaks. The very bottom layer of some of that cold air gets warmed and it becomes humid, and it actually becomes lighter than the air above it. So that allows it, almost like a hot air balloon, to ascend up into the atmosphere. And then eventually we get what we call condensation, or cloud development, and eventually precipitation and rain and snow development. That then gets pushed on shore on the lee side of the lakes as snow showers and rain showers, and sometimes intensifies into extremely heavy rain and specifically now snow bands that fall on the lee side of the lakes. One of those spots that gets affected quite frequently is Buffalo, New York. Also places like Watertown, New York, Erie, Pennsylvania, Cleveland. There's even places in the western area of the Great Lakes that get this too, like Marquette, Michigan, as well as up towards Sault Ste. Marie and Traverse City.
And coming up on the National Weather Desk, how rising temperatures are increasing harmful algae blooms in lakes across the country. And as we go to break, let's test your weather wit. On average, how many times a year does the Empire State Building get struck by lightning? Is it 1? Is it 7, 23, or 56? We'll have the answer later in the show.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have sun and clouds in the Northeast. Today we're brightest to the south. The big story in the Northeast will be the lake effect snow off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario in the coming days. Today looks pretty good. Sun and clouds, temps in the 40s, a little cool and a little breezy still. Saturday, most of you will see a lot of sunshine. Notice that lake effect continues on Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, the eastern shores here. There is the potential that some areas here could get feet of snow.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. A cold and mainly sunny start, but by the afternoon hours on our Friday, up and down the 95 corridor, a few extra clouds, maybe even a sprinkle or a flurry as a little disturbance comes through, paired up with some lake effect moisture that's up toward Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, but that could provide a sprinkle or a flurry, not of much consequence, Maryland northbound. That's as our latest weather maker. That cold front you see out west rolls through. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at those southeast highs for the day. A cool spot up there around Nashville, around the Tennessee Valley, only in the mid-40s. Atlanta, 52 degrees, 58 in Mobile. Pensacola, cool at 59 degrees. Tampa, 67, 77 West Palm. You get to South Florida, that's the warmer spots, but that's in the 70s for tomorrow. We get plenty of clearing for the day on Friday or across the southeast, but we will see another system coming in as we get towards the weekend. As far as into Saturday, Sunday, a few spotty showers here and there.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Raise your hand if you're this happy to see snow. A grand time for this pooch in Syracuse, prancing and playing on its hind legs, trying to snag a few flakes during their first snowfall. Meanwhile, near South Bend, Indiana, roughly 35 miles east of Lake Michigan, the blue skies peek out to say hello after their first big lake effect snow this season.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Now let's check to see how things look near the Great Lakes. We start with a look at the situation in Buffalo, New York, where there are still some clouds and, of course, a lot of snow. Winds 10 to 20 miles per hour and temperatures hovering just above freezing. Oh, that looks cold. Now on to South Bend, Indiana, where snow is expected to taper off. It already looks like it's starting to do just that. Your clouds for the morning here is going to stay cloudy all day. An afternoon temperature around 28 degrees, but then falling to 17 degrees overnight. And a look here at Flint, Michigan, where they've got overcast skies, a few flurries or even some snow showers possible across the region today. They'll hover right around 32 degrees. And areas of Pennsylvania are also looking a little wintry there this morning. Here is St. Mary's. It's overcast, snow showers on the way for the afternoon. The high temperature, just 33 degrees. Temperatures will drop to 19 tonight. And as the weather gets colder, it's really easy to forget that overall temperatures continue to rise across our nation, our planet. One place being impacted is Lake Tahoe on the California-Nevada border. The higher temperatures are creating a risk for dangerous algae blooms, and it's not the only lake in the country at risk. For more, let's turn to Madison McKay in Reno, Nevada.
Tahoe's clean air and water are the two ingredients to the lake's famous blue color. So what's keeping other lakes from being just as sparkly and blue? Algae. It's what causes most lakes to have that green color in the summer. However, the new algae blooms growing in Tahoe are a concern for researchers at UC Davis.
Certainly this year at Lake Tahoe, there have been warning signs put up because there have been observations of cyanobacteria.
There are thousands of different types of algae, many of which are helpful to their environments. Very few are harmful, like cyanobacteria, the kind in Tahoe. This is a harmful algal bloom, or HAB. This blue-green algae grows so quickly and can produce harmful toxins like neurotoxins. In lakes, HABs usually appear as a mixture of intense shades of green, like this.
Any fresh body of water, there's always going to be some kind of risk of this kind of algae potentially popping up?
Well, not really. One of the major drivers of cyanobacterial blooms, when we get large occurrences of them, is having warm water temperatures.
It was a record high in 93.
In September, South Lake Tahoe broke a 35-year-old record with temperatures in the low 90s on the South Shore, about 15 to 20 degrees over seasonal averages.
We have a crew that goes out every month and takes samples of what's growing and takes samples of the nutrients in the lake.
Harmful algae blooms pose a risk to public safety. That's why the Tahoe Environmental Research Center sends crews down here to check on new blooms.
With help from one search and rescue volunteer, I was able to go for a dive myself in Lake Tahoe. We did not see any signs of HABs, thankfully, in North Lake Tahoe, but with the lake's increased amount of HABs, I asked how this would affect life-saving dives, like drownings at the lake.
Diving in Tahoe has always been nice and easy. We don't have to wear the thick suits, really precautions whatsoever with the water in Tahoe. And so finding out that that may change in the future is really concerning.
Diving in 43-degree water is truly a tankless job. Regardless of frigid waters or potentials for HABs, it doesn't affect the Hasty team. They're ready to save lives at any cost.
When there is a mix of cloudy, cold, and rainy conditions, you might hear your local meteorologist use the term overrunning. But what exactly is it? To find out, let's go to Beaumont, Texas, where meteorologist Chad Sandwell explains.
Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Chad Sandwell, and this time of year, overrunning precipitation is a term you probably hear frequently with the type of weather setup that we have, not only here along the Gulf Coast, but certainly across other sections of the country. So let's explain to you exactly what overrunning precipitation is. Here's the setup you encounter when overrunning is the predominant weather feature taking place. You've got advancing warm air already over cold air at the surface. This is a situation that's going to play out over southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana this weekend. The warm air is forced upwards and overruns the denser, colder air. As that continues, the warm air will rise, causing the moisture in the air to condense into clouds and precipitation. Eventually, that warm air cools down enough to where clouds and precipitation can't form. But in the meantime, you'll look for the potential for cooler temperatures, steady light rain, thick low clouds and fog or mist. And in some of those colder climates, it is certainly possible that that could also form in the form of freezing rain, sleet, and also snow. So again, as we push through the latter portions of November into December, overrunning precipitation is likely a term that you'll hear, and now you know what it means.
Exercise is important all year round, but for those who like to run in colder months, it can be confusing to know what to wear when you go outdoors for that run. For help with the winter wardrobe, let's head to Columbus, Ohio, where meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael has some tips.
What are you doing? Heading out for a run? That's not what you should wear. Well, it's chilly. I have to dress warm. That's, here. Base layer. You want something that's not cotton, something that'll wick the moisture away. Got it. Nope, you don't need that. But it's chilly. Chilly, yes, but it's windy more than it is cold. So what you need is something to break the wind. Thanks. Better. You got the base layer to wick away the moisture. If it gets really cold, you can throw on that extra fleece or some other insulation. However, on a breezy, chilly day like today, all you need is the windbreaker and you're fine. Got it. So keep the core warm. What about pants? Well, that depends person to person. On a chilly day like today, you might be able to get by without it. However, when it gets below freezing or that wind chill, then that's when I would wear the tights or pants. Got it. Not quite that cold today.
Andrew posted this video to his Instagram account, and our meteorologist posts tons of content all over social media. If you want to keep up with all their latest posts, just follow the National Weather Desk on all of your favorite social media platforms. We also post great content that didn't make it into the show on YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk and don't forget to subscribe. Well, we have all seen frost, but have you ever seen or heard of a frosty flower? They're pretty amazing. To find out exactly what they look like and how they form, we head to meteorologist Ross Muma in Oklahoma City.
Check out these rare frost flowers. They develop when air temperatures dip below freezing, but the ground temperature is still warm enough for the roots to remain active. Moisture flows from the roots up into the stem, where the cold air freezes the moisture, and the ice crystals then push the flower buds out through the stem.
Earlier, I asked, on average, how many times a year does the Empire State Building get struck by lightning? The answer, it's 23. It's a myth that lightning never strikes twice.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We got some lake effect snow across part of the Midwest, but they're really going to get it in Buffalo as we head through the next few days. For us, it's going to be on the light side unless you live right next to one of those lakes, for instance, like Michigan and the UP. Now, for the day tomorrow, temperatures still running pretty chilly for us and some light snow. Again, we're still seeing a little bit of lake effect snow heading into Sunday, but a lot of sunshine and warmer temperatures on the way across the plains.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting out really chilly from El Paso all the way back over into Little Rock into the 30s. Down south, we're seeing clouds really holding back the temperatures just a bit into the 40s. We'll keep our eye on this next little surge of polar air is going to be moving down. It'll enhance the opportunity for rain coming up from the south, and then look for the chilly air to really build in throughout the day. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Heading deeper into the month of November, and our temperatures out west just keep getting colder. Look at Jackson Hole, not able to climb out of the teens for afternoon highs today near Yellowstone. Meanwhile, Missoula just at 23. Upper 40s in the unusual dry streak and sunshine for Seattle and Portland. 71 today out of Phoenix. A fairly dry front continuing to drop over the Four Corners region for some snow showers in the high country. And that's the scene from here.
And now it's time for a Friday football forecast.
Gearing up for a big weekend of football, and of course we want to start with our college games. Also getting into that season where it's starting to feel a little more like football weather with temperatures below freezing in some spots. Now, if you like the warm weather, I've got the game for you. USC at UCLA, of course, in Los Angeles, sunny and 70. All the time, right? Or at least it appears that way. As we head towards Boston College and Notre Dame, we're looking at South Bend, Indiana, to be pretty chilly. In fact, a few snow showers can't be ruled out a little later in the game and more so into the evening hours for South Bend. And in Norman, Oklahoma, we've got Bedlam going on. Oklahoma State in town taking on Oklahoma Sooners. Temperatures chilly because it's a night game. We'll see those upper 30s. Then we take a look at some of our NFL games of the week. We've got Las Vegas taking on Denver in Colorado. Temperatures looking pretty good in Denver, right around 50 degrees. Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, PA. Below freezing, but looking sunny with a few clouds. And in New England, we're looking at temperatures to be quite chilly with kickoff temperatures around 37. Looking at a lot of sunshine, though, for the afternoon on Sunday. Hope you all have a great weekend. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Next week, we're going to be talking to survivalist guide Creek Stewart to find out what to do if you ever get trapped in your car during a snowstorm. Thanks for joining us. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Have a great weekend, a safe weekend, and keep an eye on the sky.